Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this Pokemon TCG Pocket video. So in this Pokemon TCG Pocket video, we're going to round up the solo expert tutorial guide with one of the hardest Machamp, Marowak and Machamp EX. So before we start talking about our own deck, I'm going to explain why this deck is actually really hard to deal with because number one, you are dealing with really powerful trump cards like Machamp EX and Marowak EX, and both of them are weak to different types. So Marowak EX is weak to the grass type and Machamp EX is weak to the psychic type. So depending on who you match up against, at least like in terms of the starting draw into the evolution line, you might have very different results with different decks out there. So resetting is going to be something that you might have to do pretty often in order to clear through some of the tasks within the list itself. That's what I did because I use a psychic deck for some of the conditions which I'm going to showcase later. But when I match into Marowak, another problem in Marowak is the huge RNG factor, because this boomerang over here does upwards to 160 damage if it's really lucky. So there's this RNG coin roll factor to consider on the AI side, and even if you have a counter deck against Marowak EX, you can still be bursted down really quickly with this skill because 160 damage is just really insane. So that's why this challenge or this final solo expert run is technically the toughest, or it's one of the toughest I faced so far. And with regards to the battle task over here, for the lightning deck, I'm running basically both decks. They run really low rarity cards, so you guys will be able to fulfill the low rarity condition super easily. And for the lightning deck, it's pretty much the Lapras rush deck with Heliolisk as well as one copy of Raichu. So we will actually want to go into the Heliolisk line ASAP and then high roll on our quick attack to do 80 damage ASAP and then rush the opponent down with the lightning element or the lightning Pokemon over here. Right, so all roll already card, we have one Lieutenant Search, and this will help us clear the first two battle tasks on top. With regards to win the battle by turn 12, we will be using the psychic deck, which it's Clefairy. So Clefairy over here together with Hypno is actually really good. Let me just run through the deck list for you guys. Okay, so Clefairy into Clefairy, insanely good because for one energy you can do upwards to 60 damage. So if you match into the Machamp line, you will be able to rush down the opponent and then finish within the 12 turns. So Clefairy, 1 energy, 60 damage, really impressive, and you can start the offense really early. And then even if you do have Marowak line in place, right, you can still store the battle out with Hypno with the sleep ability in the back line, so you will be able to spam this sleep pendulum to cause your opponent to go to sleep, right? So if you are really lucky on the RNG, you might be able to hold the Marowak in place for your Clefairy to do damage every single turn and then finish the opponent from there. So this psychic deck is pretty consistent, pretty cheap as well, low rarity cost cards. Okay, so yep, without further ado, right, before we start, if you don't want to use the psychic deck, you can also use the Venusaur line as well. I think Venusaur EX is also a pretty decent line against this deck because once you reach your Venusaur EX, you have sufficient energy with sufficient heals, you will be able to out-heal the damage coming out from Machamp as well as Marowak. However, there's one thing to take note for the Venusaur line, because you have more evolution lines, it's much easier to break and a little bit less consistent unless you have like this complete full Venusaur deck right now. So yeah, without further ado, let us showcase the battles featuring the two decks that I just discussed. Let's go.